There's times in every hunter's life that mark turning a page into a new chapter. For some, it may be killing their first big buck or even their first animal. But those moments signify a new feather in his or her hat they will likely hold on to forever. Last year, for me, one of those moments came when I did something I had never done or even attempted before, and that was killing a coyote off a group of pigs from a brush pile only a few yards away. The challenge wasn't just getting the coyote there and pulling the trigger. It was about getting him there without him knowing I was merely feet away. And once I finally did it, my heart was pounding like it never had before. It's something you simply won't understand until you try it yourself. It was way too much fun to not do it again, but this year I had a special twist to add to the challenge that required one new ingredient, and that was the moon. I wanted to kill a coyote off a bait pile using nothing more than moonlight with my new US optic scope. This was something I've heard about guys doing for years, but I had never tried it for myself. I was ready for the challenge, and like last year was prepared and ready to do whatever it took to reach my personal goal, no matter how many moons it took to get the job done. For now, all I needed was bait.
Man, they're a long ways over there, Matt.
They really are. It's not bad, though. Not too crazy.
This corn's gonna be loud.
We'll just have to stay in the rows, as much as possible. And
we might actually even want to go just work our way around and see if we can get downwind of them.
Yeah, they seem to be staying put now, so I think that would definitely be the best plan.
Look like some pretty good sized ones, too.
You counting 6 of them?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
This year I figured why change anything. Pigs work like a champ then, and until all our coyotes become Jewish, I didn't see any reason to fix it if it wasn't broke. I felt like I needed at least 3 to 4 good-sized pigs to endure through several Texas buzzards. It didn't matter how many coyotes were around if there wasn't any bait come nightfall.
Here they come, man. They're coming right at us. Just try to kill the biggest one. I need something big enough to get past the buzzards. Whenever he stops, I'm good.
We only managed to recover one out of that group, but only 20 minutes later we were already on another.
They've stopped. Good Lord, look at them all. Wow. Look at the big fat one back here.
Where?
There was one limping. See the one limping over the top of the dead one? My gosh, that's a bunch of pigs.
There was a bunch.
Coyotes are gonna eat good tonight.
Man, this is more than I could ask for. I'll just help you scoot him over here in a second. You know what? We probably killed about 10 pigs right there.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3.
Things were looking pretty good, and just like last time, I couldn't help but wonder with each and every pig I put in there, which one would Mr. Kyle pick?
Tell you what I want to know is, which little pig will kill the coyote?
I want to say the small sow.
I'm gonna say this white one. It's a magic pig. Looks like I'm gonna be putting me out some pigs in the manana.
Yes, sir.
What would happen if we were to accidentally run into some pigs on the way home? That's the question I've got.
We'd have to lift the tailgate again.
Yeah. We'll just start
stacking them.
Start a second row.
There you go.
Hey man, good job. Let's
good.
Take it to the house.
You got it.
I guess there's no way of really knowing exactly which one of my lucky volunteers will be the demise of a coyote. But one thing you can count on is somewhere close by, likely peeking through the bushes like a little kid, I'll be lying in wait. And then it'll hopefully all be over. Except this time, my plan was going to test my resolve more than I could have ever imagined. They say you have to crawl before you walk, but this challenge was about to become one of the most difficult things I've ever attempted in my entire life. In hunting, some lessons are just better learned the hard way. Let's just say there's a reason this 3-part special series is called the 4th moon and not the 1st. After watching firsthand how far a coyote can drag a 200-pound pig, I decided to tie them all together just to keep the dragging to a minimum. I really didn't think they would mind the rope, honestly, but that was just a hunch. The first night was really pretty uneventful, just a lonely pile of dead pigs waiting on someone to come pay them a visit. But on the second night, around 2 a.m., we had our first customer. He was just a little guy, but even at such a young age, you could clearly see the natural instinct a coyote has to be cautious of human scent. He was smelling me, and just about everywhere I had walked or touched. It was amazing to get to see a coyote for the first time, mentally work through determining if this was a good or bad situation. You know, they say you can't fool a coyote's nose. Well, that's not completely 100% true, because over a long enough period of time, without any signs of danger, even some of the smartest coyotes will tolerate a certain level of human scent. It's all about conditioning. If they smell you directly or in person, you're still hosed. But smelling where you had been or touched, that's a little different story. Just like certain everyday sounds, coyotes will get conditioned to certain human scents in places frequented by humans on a regular basis, and over a period of time will drop their guard to odors they perceive as part of that particular environment. In other words, they smelled my scent I left once before, and it was okay, so it'll probably be okay this time. Does that mean they forget what a human smells like? Absolutely not. But in this situation, you can clearly see a steady progression of confidence in this coyote over the span of 4 nights. Because by night 4, he is like a completely different coyote. His level of caution compared to the nights before was much less. He had been conditioned. He had thrown caution to the wind and convinced himself that this was a safe place to be. The only thing was, I wasn't looking for a pup, and like last year, I wanted to kill a full-grown one. As it turns out, this moon phase served as merely a test run to see what all I could get away with. I felt in my gut if this little pup would put up with all that scent, there was at least a chance so would a big one. Just like last year, I wanted to get close. I just needed to know how close I could get away with to be able to see him with my scope. The moon had already begun to fade on this cycle, but I'm learning little by little each step of the way. For those of you who've never had a coyote this close at night, relying on nothing more than concealment, you have no idea what kind of rush you're missing out on. That experience by itself sent me down a path I never realized I would enjoy as much as I have.
Gotcha. Unbelievable.
It gave me a small glimpse into the natural world of a coyote, a world I knew very little about, yet I always knew existed in the shadows, but you never got to actually see, until now. With the help of new camera technology using nothing more than moonlight, I had figured out a way to capture up-close, high-resolution images of coyotes hitting bait piles in a way it's never been done before. And like with anything on your first go-around at something, there's always a learning curve no matter what. And the degree of technical difficulty of what I was trying to do from not only a hunting perspective, but also a videography perspective was off the charts. And getting these images were no easy task. And as if capturing all this on camera wasn't hard enough, I still had to figure out how to kill one with a traditional scope using just the moon. Each moon phase gave me around a 5 to 6 night window when the moon was full enough for both myself and my cameras to see. And during that window, I had to ensure multiple things lined up to actually get it done. The first was simply keeping bait in the area and getting it in there a week early so they would be hitting it when the cameras were rolling when the moon was full. I spent an entire moon phase battling heavy flooding and failed to reload my bait pile one time because I physically couldn't get the pigs we killed out of the fields and into the truck to put them there. But that's a whole other story for another night. My next enemy was the wind. Like I said before, coyotes may put up with smelling where you've been, but not where you actually are. And for the remainder of this moon, the stinking wind blew every direction except the right one. And now I don't have just one coyote hitting my bait. I had several, and there was nothing I could do about it but just watch the footage and try to get to know each one individually that came to my pile. I named this one T-Bone, and it's pretty obvious why. He was a big old boy, and from the looks of it, didn't miss too many meals. This one's Blondie. I didn't really get much of him or her, but all I had to go on was the pale coat. This joker is one I've come to know as Clumsy. You'll find out more why here in just a minute. He wasn't an old coyote, but still not a pup. From the looks of it, he's probably a few years old, but he was a mess. I call this bruiser White Tip for the big white tip on his tail. He was one not to mess with. And here we have Bad Attitude, because he wanted to pick a fight with everyone in sight. Watch this. After a while, I figured out he was all talk, because the one night he decided to pick on White Tip, old White Tip not only stood his ground, but even put him in his place. I bet White Tip's saying, "That's what I thought." You remember Clumsy? Well, he was all over the place. It was awesome to get to see all these coyotes with their own personalities. But the one thing that was a common thread among all of them was they always approached the bait from the downwind side, never from the upwind, until they had already gone downwind and smelled what they were getting into first. man could they drag a pig. I just needed a little luck with the wind to quit blowing the direction it had been and turn in my favor for just one moonlit night. It was the moment of truth. 2 months worth of preparation and plenty of failure had all come down to this tiny window of only a few short hours left of the moon I needed to get the job done. I used my thermal just to get me in there, but had my US Optics 1:6 power in my pocket for once I actually got there. It's really nice being able to interchange scopes in the field like that. That's something that's simply not possible without Zero Delta. Look them up if you want to try this, because they're the best mounts ever. Back to the learning curve I mentioned earlier. The biggest mistake I made when choosing a location to set my pile was making it impossible to see if a coyote was already there from the road. It was a simple mistake, but it cost me the advantage of knowing if one was already on the bait before I got there. You live and you learn, but you can't change the past, so the plan was to ease in as slow and quiet as possible, just in case there was already a visitor. At this point, I had no clue if one was there or not, but I had a previously chosen plan of approach to get close in case there was. I was going to do all I could to keep from screwing this up. One misstep or accidental crack of a twig could mean the difference between failure and success. This tricky situation was kinda like handling a gun. You have to always act like they're loaded, even when they may not be. And in this case, I wasn't gonna take any chances. Slow and easy was gonna win this race. Find out what happens on the next part of The Fourth Moon. The question is, which moon is this one?